I'm here with Nishant Sharma, founder and CEO of Rutland Square Spirit. And this is the Burnout Files. Right, Nish, how are you doing today?
John, thank you so much, first of all, for creating this setup in our lovely office.
Ah.
It looks lovely. I am doing good. Yeah.
Right, so let's just start off with, might be difficult, it depends how you see it, but your childhood, because that's where most entrepreneurs, when they look back at it, that's where they build their resilience, or there's something that's happened that's kind of made them the person that they are. It could be the family support, or it could just be something that you did. So can we go back to there and just kind of look at your journey of what happened that kind of made you this great entrepreneur that you are now and got through these hard times?
I had a fairly normal childhood, to be honest. Didn't have anything too extreme. Yes, I was born in a very large family. And in India, specifically where I was born, usually there is a system of joint families. So back in the 80s, when I was born, I'm a 90s kid, just for reference. I was born in 80s. We were all living in one big house created by my great grandfather in a small town in a city called Edinburgh in Assam, which is the far northeast of India. But we don't belong to the northeast. We were migrated. My great grandfather migrated to the northeast. So I had a fairly normal childhood. Yes, my mom was postnatal. So she was a young girl who got married into this lovely family, and she struggled a little with her first child because kids don't come with a manual, and we have to somehow find our way in operating them. And I was mostly looked after my grandmother. My mom did support, and she was a great woman that she is. But we had some challenges of raising a child back in the day, what I've heard. But that never impacted me as such. A very comfortable life I have lived growing up. There were challenges, yes, and in the more mid part of my journey. But as a child, and my childhood was fairly exciting, to be honest.
And so when you were in your childhood, did you kind of get into any entrepreneurial sort of activities?
I have always been an entrepreneur. If I look back now, entrepreneurship or entrepreneur is a fancy word we use today. I would use the word hustler. As I was referring, I was born in a small town called Dibrugarh, which has its own challenges and its own joys. Living in a small town, you are living in a cocoon. You're not exposed to the world as much as you would be in a central city or a capital city or a bigger city. Life was fairly simple. Started early, and everybody had a lunchtime break, and they napped. It's almost like a Spanish hot country lifestyle. We wake up early, we go to school, we come back from school, we have our lunch, and we have an hour's nap or so. Go out to play, come back home, some tuition, some education, studying, and then yes, challenges weren't there up till the age of 12. My parents decided to migrate back to the original city where my great grandfather migrated from, which was the far northwest part of India, which is Punjab, the land of the Golden Temple, the land of the food that we enjoy in the UK and the wider Western countries. Yeah, when we migrated over to the northwest part of India, life did take a turn. We were not plugged into the financial structure of the family. We were an independent family, and setting up shop in a new city is hard. My dad was really struggling with his business. He tried few ventures and he failed, and that did leave an impact on me. So yeah, hustling became part of my life. I was in an ecosystem which was very much attached to my original life, the luxuries of my great grandfather's fruits, because he was a successful entrepreneur. But when we migrated to Punjab, the money dried out, and I was operating with bare minimum. We were a family of four then. My little sister, who's 12 years younger to me, was born, and we were not doing so great financially. And I think that was the pivotal point in my life where hustling and doing side hustles became part of my journey. I would buy stuff and randomly sell them just to have an extra cash in my pocket. And this is how my journey began.
So what was the reasons that kind of made you migrate then? That kind of, when you look back at it, and then, because that made you kind of start your journey?
Well, it was my family's decision.
Mm.
My father decided to venture out into the wild by himself. He wanted an independent life, supported by my mother. And when my father and my mother decided to build something of their own, now my father came from a very much of a cocoon life himself. He was living off the fruits of my great grandfather, supported by my grandfather, his father. Everything was taken care of. So I think while he's a very, very, very hardworking individual, he was little unplugged from life in general. It's not easy to build life by yourself.
Mm.
He had some challenges when he migrated from the northeast to the northwest. While we have been traveling as family on holidays consistently to that part of the world, living life was little different. And setting up a new business in a land where you're not familiar with as commonly, because that's not the place he was born or he was raised, is difficult. Building relationship is difficult. Business is all about relationship. Who you know,
Mm.
how you know. That becomes your customer base, your investor base, XYZ, and that sort of helps you build. In his case, he just picked up everything and took the decision to build a life around him and his family. That came with challenges.
Mm.
Like every business has challenges. He was self-funded. He was not supported by his father financially because he wanted to be a proud father himself and he wanted to do things himself. So he moved on, and that kind of created a bit of a turbulence in the life.
Mm.
Money dried up, businesses weren't doing great. He was failing at businesses he was setting up. I think he was struggling because he never had the support
Mm.
we do in today's infrastructure. And that led to a domino effect that impacted the children in the house, the partner in the house, everybody in the house, that unit that we were.
Then how did it impact
With
you
the
then?
four people.
How did it impact
It
you?
did, it impacted me quite adversely because I was a growing up teenager are looking for things they want to indulge because their friends and other people in their network are. And when you don't have the resource to do things, money is important and it's a tool that allows us to do things. Because that tool wasn't around, I will had to do the best of what my father could give, and he gave me the best to his ability at that point.
Mm.
But it wasn't enough because kids were coming to school in cars and I was going to school in a bike, which is your cycle, and people were buying exciting stuff and I was buying whatever I could afford.
Mm.
So I was a misfit in school, which got me bullied a lot. I wasn't seen as equal. Kids are kids and they don't know any better and they look down upon you and they treat you differently. That shapes you as who you are, and that shaped me. But I understand better now.
Mm.
As a teenager, I couldn't. I was struggling to understand the whole concept of why I'm being treated so differently. That shaped my childhood and what I am today in a good way.
Yeah. And so I guess when you're a side hustle, that kind of encouraged you to do the side hustles and become
Yes.
this hustler. And then I guess when you're looking at your father's journey, you obviously learned from that as well
Yes.
during your side hustles.
I wasn't enjoying my side hustles, to be honest, and I was doing it out of necessity. I wanted to be part of school trips. My father afforded as many school trips he could, but he couldn't afford all of them.
Mm.
So as a kid, I would wanted to be on every single school trip. My friends were going, or so-called friends were going. That did kind of a domino effect
Mhm.
impact that led to more side hustles, which is the distraction as well, especially when you're in a school. You should be focusing on your education. But sometimes in life, you do things and they happen for a reason. I don't know
Mm.
why. That shaped me into, or gave me the confidence to do things.
Mm.
So, yeah, side hustles became part of my life just in order to afford things that I couldn't afford.
And then when is it that you kind of, during it, eventually kind of migrated over to Scotland and then kind of set up Rutland?
Oh,
Or was there a few more ventures before that?
yeah, many failed ventures.
Okay, let's go and talk about those first.
A lot of failed ventures. So let me take you back to the time I migrated from Punjab, Scotland.
Mm.
Scotland has been home from day one. I have lived in Scotland. So I arrived in Scotland. I've stayed in Scotland.
Mm.
I never went anywhere else. Glasgow was the city I came in under my uncle's wing. I had a family member in Glasgow since the 80s. My maternal uncle has been in Glasgow. This is how I knew there was a place called Glasgow.
Mm.
Out of all the places in the world where people will pick New York, Canada, or London, I picked Glasgow, which was quite unusual. I never heard of in the time when I was leaving India. Again, it was out of the ambition I had to do something more. I never had the resource to do things in India. So I thought if I leave India and I go abroad, it might be a better opportunity for me.
Was this before the financial crash or after?
This was before the financial crash. Literally, I'll tell you a little side story. I'll come to that. So 2007, I clearly remember, I think it was first week of February 2007 when I migrated from Punjab to Scotland. And I was very passionate about doing something in life, and I couldn't find an opportunity in India. And I thought, how about I gather all the cash my family could. Studying abroad is not easy or cheap. If a local student is paying £1,500 per semester for a fee, as an international student, we were paying 15 grand, which is almost 10x of what they would be paying. So my father had to come up with enough capital to invest in me to buy the flight tickets, have enough money in the pocket to survive for the first few months, and pay my first year full fee in advance, and also give me the confidence to survive in a country I've never been before. So while pooling capital, we realized that they could only pay a deposit towards my fee that gives me the visa to travel to the UK. And all he could do was give me £500 on top of it to come to Scotland and survive. Luckily, because I had a maternal uncle in Glasgow, it wasn't a big challenge because there wasn't an expectation of rent, electricity bill, and XYZ. So I took that £500 and I left. I was really frustrated because £500 doesn't take you too far. So
it's in inflation now. It's probably about 2,000-3,000 now.
5 grand, right? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know.
And back then, even 500 didn't buy you much.
No.
Especially if you had to survive by yourself, that would not even cover your 1 month's rent or deposit. So yeah, I landed. I came to my uncle's house. A huge change coming from a hot country to a colder country, which was really the flip. And then because I had already made up my mind to build something of my own, I had this ambition of not keeping the money that my father gave me. So I came and my uncle helped me to get 3 jobs. First job was before the college started, I would leave in the morning to come to his warehouse where he had an import business. He would import lighting goods from China and the containers would come and he would pay £30 per container to deload the containers. So I would work that from 7 a.m. till 12 to 2. And then everybody will get gathered together and have a free lunch on him, sponsored by him. Then I'll leave for my second job, which was in his shops, which is in shops. He had some retail outlets in Forge Market in Glasgow. I would work there from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then markets will shut. And then I'll take a bus from Forge Markets to Darnley, which was almost a different universe altogether.
Yeah.
And then I would come and work from 6 p.m., 6 to 6:30 till 12 in an Indian restaurant, which was Ashoka at the Mill at that time in Darnley. Amazing place. I've learned so much there. And also working for my uncle, I've learned so much there. But within a week's time, I had a couple of hundred gathered to return the 500 plus whatever I accumulated. And then my uncle added a few more hundred to return £1,000 back within 7 days of coming to UK.
That's impressive.
It was a huge achievement. I never thought I could do it, but of course, supported by the right people and kind of desire to build something of my own. Though there was a layer of support underneath, still there was a level of accomplishment for I guess 19-year-old then, Nish, in a foreign land, looking to build something that had meaning. This was my beginning.
I like the fact that you used invest instead of you bought your plane ticket.
Well, everything is an investment, right?
Exactly.
Even if you buy a pair of glasses, it's a sort of investment we do. Buying a plane ticket could be buying a plane ticket to go see a concert.
Mm.
That would be a plane ticket to just burn. In my case, I was a source of better future
Mm-hmm.
for everyone involved or attached. In my case, which it has been, directly or indirectly. My family is comfortable today. They are living an independent life, and they have an infrastructure that allows them to do things I might not have directly bought them the things, but became a platform for everyone.
Mm. So after your first 7 days, what was your next venture then?
So I wasn't into ventures for a long, long time.
So you did this new job
I
still
was
then?
still side hustling, doing things that I was doing in India. Flipping phones were a big thing back then, and I was a master of flipping phones. How it would work is O2 and Vodafone and all these phone companies had contracts, and that gave me 24 months to pay them. But in India, there was huge demand for these phones because it will take a few years before they would hit the market.
Mhm.
So I would buy these phones under my name on contracts, and then I will pay 50% of the phone upfront and only keep 50% of the phone to be paid on installments.
Mhm.
And then I'll sell them to an individual with a multiple on the phone. For example, if iPhone it was £1,000, I would sell it for $2,000. Demand for having the first iPhone in your hand.
Mm.
People would pay money who had money to be the first
Yeah.
mover in the market, and I was in the right place at the right time. And I would buy the iPhone and I would send it to India, make the multiple, and then it will give me some cash on the side, petty cash.
Yes.
But yeah, the life went on. My day-to-day job would be doing the same things. Containers would come once every now and then. So it would be working in his warehouse or his shops, and then going to my work in the restaurant. That journey continued for the first 4 years because I had to pay my fees. I was on a visa and I had to pay for my visa. I had to pay for breathing. It isn't easy and cheap to live in a foreign land.
I know.
People think and they buy into this idea because there's currency fluctuation. £1 give you 100 and something rupees. In our little minds, we think, oh, I'm making in multiple on the currency, but you're spending on the same currency that you are earning in. So the multiple doesn't happen unless you take that money for your holiday back home and then you multiply it. And that gives you the delta that never happened in our case because we are oblivion and we are naive of the fact of knowing that. And if you earn in pounds, you have to spend in pounds.
Yes.
And then you're not left with pounds to spare. So yeah, that went on for good 4 years of my life.
You're studying this point.
This is yes.
What were you studying?
So that's an adventure in itself. So I came on a course called International Business Management, which I hated. I hated it so much I would fall asleep in the class. I felt at that point, now this is not being overconfident at all. I felt I knew more than what they were teaching in the class. It's the practical life of doing business, which was great.
Which is probably true considering you saw it firsthand from your father's experience in your side hustles.
Correct. And also I was doing businesses on the side. So it was almost, I had a bit of a knowledge of things that people would not in an ideal case scenario. And then what else happened? So yeah, what they were teaching in the class, I wasn't resonating with it at all. And I felt I know more and I was dozing off. And then I realized, okay, I need to have something to continue my student visa. So I switched my visa from international business to a filmmaking and a screenwriting with the media law course because my uncle was a Bollywood actor in Mumbai. And I thought, if nothing works out, if everything collapses, at least I could go back to him and I can work for him. So I started studying filmmaking, television in Glasgow Metropolitan College, which is now called as the City of Glasgow College. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I excelled in that. I had such a great time. It was worth the time and the effort of what I was doing. And it was doing good. It was great. And it helped me keep my visa and extend my visa, and I kept on doing what I was doing.
Did you ever end up using your media one?
I did, yes. I had a failed company called Highland Cow Productions Limited, which was a film production company. Even before I ventured into Highland Cow Productions, I was working for companies like BBC. I have done some internships in Just So Raven program on BBC. I have worked in some production based out of Glasgow.
Yeah.
I've done lots of things.
Yeah.
I think the joys of being or becoming entrepreneur is you go through so many layers of things in life that teaches you. So yeah, so Highland Cow Productions was an adventure I did.
Was that the first one?
This was my first legal adventure, as in we set up a company, not flipping phones.
You weren't a sole trader.
I was not a sole trader. I was not a proprietorship. Even as a student, I never knew what sole trader was. I was just an individual trying to do things.
Yeah.
Right. I had no structure, no knowledge of how companies or how things are. I only knew, I thought that limited companies are for people making lots of money or doing big things. In my case, I was just doing smaller things. A lot of things were smaller things. So when Highland Cow Production happened, that was my first company I set up independently. So even before Highland Cow, I became part of a company my now partner runs called VS Global Visions Limited. That was actually the first limited company structure I went in. It was her company, it was her business, and we saw something that could help her business. She was into the business of immigration advisory because she studied law. She had English law and Scottish law as a major. So she had this business which was going on. I was like, well, people love to come to UK. I can gauge them into what you do and you can give them the right advice. And I forced myself into her company. She never wanted me in. But that was my first. And I was young and I never knew boundaries. I never understood certain things. And I was just a hustler, right?
Yeah.
You look for an opportunity and you want to grab onto it and you want to build upon it. Similar thing happened in this case. And so this was before I set up my own entity, which was Highland Cow Productions Limited. Few failed projects within Highland Cow Productions. Then we won a big contract, a multi-million-pound contract with almost won a multi-million-pound contract with BBC, and then COVID happened. And everything collapsed, and then other things happened, and so on and so on until I found my way into Rutland Square.
Okay, before we go there, when you're going through the period of COVID and then the fact that this £1 million contract fell through, how did you feel? What was it like? What was going through your mind at that time?
It was a note of interest. Let's put it this way. They didn't give us a contract on paper. We landed on a project on paper, which was really exciting. And my hustle and my consistency towards finding things, that is something I'll give that I had. And I think most entrepreneurs out there in the world, that is the only quality that separates them from the rest of the crowd, is not taking no for an answer. We are not afraid, or there's something in our minds which just keep moving forward. So when this project came to my desk, I hustled. I went from Netflix, BBC, ITV, Sky, every single platform, and then Netflix and BBC showed interest. And BBC were like, if we give you the platform to build and you invest some of your own money, we can create a pilot and then we can sell it, as the stage we were at. And we did an evaluation on, there's a simple lot of business. The simple lot of business is how much we are going to invest and how are we going to recuperate that back with a multiple. That's the simple math. And this is the exercise that we went through with BBC to understand, okay, it's going to cost us, let's say, $500,000 to build the series, and the pilot will take, let's say, 20 grand to create this 1 hour episode. You invest that 20 grand from your pocket, which is myself and people involved. And then once the pilot is made, we will take it to BBC and they will say, okay, now we will fund the entire series for you, which is the series Maybe it was just called Chapter 1, 6 episodes, 45 to 50 minutes long. And then we will air it and we will recuperate the cost back and we'll cover all your costs and plus your multiple that you will be making on this project. And we will own the rights to the project. Happy days. And then COVID happened. And COVID happened. Production and film were not essential businesses and they were put on pause. BBC decided that we were at the tail end of their pipeline. We were something they were considering. So we never got the attention we needed and then that just died off. And the company collapsed. Nobody was allowed to film. We did a couple of short films. Well, the permission to meet within certain social distancing were allowed. We won a few awards, but we never made money. We made zero money. We just lost money, my money that I earned from the jobs that I was doing. And then so on and so on. And I did a couple of more ventures. Then when I had this limited company at hand, which failed, I changed the name of the company to very fancy French name, Le Monsieur Limited. I thought if I put a French twang to the company, I can go into bespoke leather goods. And I started buying these leather shoes from a factory in Spain, which they would handcraft and you can sell them as bespoke shoes. That failed. Nobody bought those shoes. They were amazing shoes. They were great.
Do you still have any?
I wish I had. I gave them away. It was really too long ago. I know the factory. I can put you in touch. You can buy some great shoes from them. Then that happened. That failed. Then I ventured into a property business with my father-in-law. Great business, made me money. He's a great individual who's been doing this for the longest of time, but I never felt it. I didn't belong there. I felt this is not something I can add value to. So I exited there, and whatever money I made from property, I was looking for the next adventure in my life, and my grandmother passed away. That is where the shift happened, and I came to India to, give my last goodbye. And because she raised me, she looked after me. She was actually the mother that I had seen growing up, consistently around and with me. And when she passed away, it was grief. I had never experienced grief. I have never experienced pain to that extent. I've never experienced loss until then. And when this happened, I went to India. In Hindu culture, they cremate, and the cremation process happened. And in that moment, something flipped in me. I felt life is fragile. It's short. Everything is going to come to an end. These were my real realization in those moments when I was looking at her being burnt. I felt someday when my life leaves my body, they are going to set me on fire, and barbecue me. Just to put a lighter tone. And money is a man-made concept.
Yeah.
Indulgence and products and everything is a human-made concept. We must not take things too seriously. We chase wrong things in life. And something flipped in me and I said, you know what, if Harry from next door can do it, why can't I? And I spent 15 days with my grandfather, then alive. And he was mourning love of his life, his wife. And I was mourning my grandmother. We had something in common. We spent 15 days together. There's a 15 days of mourning that happens after the individual passes away. I think we found solace. We spoke. We grabbed a drink together in that period when you're not supposed to drink. And we're supposed to be vegetarian and you have to things, and we literally followed no rules. We did what we wanted to do. And we were just in pain. And in that moment, my grandfather shared a story which was of my great grandfather, his father, and that created the foundation of what we have built today, or what we are building today.
Wow. And when you kind of, I guess you're going through that kind of, I guess you could call it clarity. Before that, did you kind of feel like everything you did up to that point was kind of building you, or did you kind of have a reflection of everything you're doing? You kind of felt like, did you ever get to the point of going, it's too much, what's the point of trying? Or did you go, right, I now need to build, before you actually build the Rutland?
Life is too much because we make it too much. In essence, without sounding philosophical, all we need is maximum 2 meals a day, a shelter, and a peaceful home is all human race needs to survive.
Mm.
But here we are on this planet buying expensive cars, bigger houses, doing things that just doesn't make sense.
Mm.
You know, that was the phase I was in. Wanted to build something big, something meaningful, something exciting. I wanted to be somebody. And when the switch flipped, I stopped thinking about, I want to be somebody, I want to do it for somebody, or I want to present myself as somebody. I was doing things for myself very selfishly, especially building this. It was a personal goal.
Mm.
It was not to prove anything to anyone. It was not to project anything to anyone. I felt I have become Bob the Builder. I just wanted to build things. It's like a video game. You
Yeah.
keep building and hoping the end will come one day. And I think that's where the life story ends when you die or,
Yeah.
life comes to an end. Until then, you're just building. Even if you look at Elon Musk, he's almost a trillionaire today. He hasn't stopped building.
Mm.
So suddenly the money piece goes out of the window and you stop looking at things from pragmatically. You start looking at things in a more on a day-to-day basis. If I can make small progress every single day, where it leads to doesn't matter. You can have dream desires, goals, you can have everything, but they mean nothing because yesterday I didn't have a Mercedes. Today I have a Mercedes. Now Mercedes doesn't mean anything to me. I'm using Mercedes as an example. So same thing in life. While you don't have it, you want it. When you have it, you don't want it, or you're just out of it. And same thing happened before I even started building Rutland Square. I has a baseline because I learned from my grandfather that what created the family who we are was alcohol, the business. That was the choosing factor of what industry I want to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started building in. So now I have something called a space I want to play in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, don't go into this industry. And I said, why not? What is the worst can happen?
Yeah.
Well, worst happened. I had a heart attack. I almost died. But before we go there, we started, you just start building, you become Bob the Builder. You
Yeah.
just pick up your hammer, your shiv, and you just start building things without thinking where this will lead to or what style of house it will make. You just start putting brick on brick on brick every single day. And one day, your bricks start taking shapes.
Mm.
And one day becomes a house.
Yeah.
My house is not ready yet.
Well, it never will be.
Yes.
Because you already got the spirits, so
yes.
You theoretically could say it's already built.
Yeah. Well, I have something to now look back to and say, no matter how far, we are far from success. We are very far from success. I don't even know what success is.
Yeah.
People measure success in money. People measure success in growth. Success is subjective. For me, success is having a product I look at every single day and I think, I made this. It was just an idea. It's still at that phase where I am not 100% realized that, this has been shipped globally. Somebody walking through the airport in India might be picking up a bottle as we speak, or somebody from Dubai walking into Barracuda shop, picking up a bottle or even looking at a bottle. It's happening as we speak in real time. I never thought about this. And for me, that's success.
Yeah.
And this is how I measure success. I don't look at how much money the brand makes. We are very much still a growing business and we are bleeding a lot of capital. But for me, what really matters is in that moment when I was looking at my grandmother's funeral, and I thought, I don't want to die being done nothing. I want to do something that makes me happy, something that has some foundation that my kids or the future generation can look back and say, like I have never met my great grandfather, but I have huge respect for him, not because of the money he made, because of the impact he left behind. I would like to create an impact, and I genuinely feel that from the bottom of my heart. Even if I can make 1% of the impact he left in this world for his family and the generation which exists, is what I would like to do. That would be success for me.
Wow, that's very possible, and sounds like you're on the way to do that. But there's lots of battles and barriers you have to face, and
Yes, every day.
exactly. So when you're building Rutland, I guess what was the day you kind of went, I'm going to go into whiskey, not gin, not vodka, not beer, it's whiskey. Why Scotch?
It's actually the other way around.
All right.
I wanted to build whiskey from day one. And at that point, when this idea started to take shape, I thought I had some money in the pocket because I had made some money from the property deal I did with my father-in-law. I had some money from the job I was doing in financial services. So we have gone from working in restaurant, doing those odd jobs for 4 years. And there's a piece we didn't discuss, which I'll quickly bring up to speed is I met my partner who I started this business I forced myself in, was working in financial services. And I was a waiter. And I asked her one day, what does it take to get a day job like yourself? Sit behind a desk and get lunch breaks. And I just go to work at 5 p.m. and I come back home at 1:30, 2. I smell of food, and then I wake up and then I do this all over again. And I've been doing it for 4 years, and now I'm at a point I would like to do something different. And then she showed me the roadmap of going into that direction, of getting a job in Sheila's Wheels to begin with, which is a female-focused car insurance company. That was my first desk job. And then slowly I ventured into financial services to working in banks like Scottish Widows Investment Partnership, HSBC. And then I ended up in BlackRock. That's where enlightenment happened in terms of finance, the knowledge of finance and money and asset under management and annual recurring revenue and all sorts of things happened. And people that came along the journey of what we are building now. So going back to your question is, at the time I was at my grandmother's funeral, whiskey is what the country consumes and whiskey is what we understood as somebody from an Indian origin. They don't know anything other than whiskey. They consume the most whiskey in the world, and they drink whiskey as highballs all day, every day.
Okay.
They don't savor whiskey. A very small population of people would savor it as it should be. But again, whiskey is a whiskey. You drink as you like. The entire country drinks as a highball. They like to pour 60 ml and then top it up with soda water or whatever they wish, and they down it. And for them, the concept of drinking is, let's finish this bottle. Like it's a ritual.
Yeah.
It's not, let's have a drink. It's, let's have that bottle. So they buy a bottle to finish the bottle in most cases. Not keep the fingers on people, those who enjoy or savor their drinks. The people I know, they down their bottle every time they drink.
That's a lot of
a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest market. Like Johnny Walker's biggest market. They sell more than they make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even the Irish is confused. Like, the hell, we don't even make so much whiskey that we are selling. There's something happening in the background that's feeding into the demand. But coming back to what you asked me, whiskey was what I really wanted to do. Came back to the UK after those 15, 16 days, and life humbled me. Whiskey humbled me. It takes millions of pounds to even think about doing whiskey. Even if I start as a trader, I have to buy casks. Unless I become a broker where I'm just, selling and exchanging whiskey casks for my commission. But I wanted to do things the right way, how I would want to do it. And I wanted to do whiskey, and I couldn't afford to do whiskey. So the gin happened because we were coming out of COVID. Gin had its time and it was booming. It was off the roof. And I thought, you know what? Let me put my hands into the gin first. It will help me set up my tone. I was very clear from day one. I wanted to do something that is very personal to me. I'm a strong believer. If you're just creating products to sell, then you will only make a sale. If you want to sell something that is a piece of you, it has to be personal.
Let's have a story.
What the foundation stone was, I'm doing this because of my great grandfather and my family. So that was the benchmark I was setting myself against. And now if I'm doing something is not from his portfolio, is inspired by him, but has to be personal to me.
Mm.
I cannot sell something that he sold that worked for him doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for me. What I am putting out in the market or in the universe is a piece of me, and literally a piece of me in context that I am creating something that represents me, my personality, who I am as an individual, the flavor profile, which is complex. I feel I've been told I'm a complex individual, how I think and how I do things and the kind of risks I take and my risk appetite. These are the feedback I get from people, and I take it very positively. And similar to the product I created, Rutland Square almost became a bridge between where I come from, where I am, and where I want to be. So Rutland Square is a place in Edinburgh where the Indian embassy sits. So for me to go back to India, I need a visa now to go back to the country I was born, where I took the visa to come to UK. Now I need to get a visa to go back to India because
Wow.
I'm a British passport holder. So when I go down to Rutland Square to get my Indian visa, I have to go to Rutland Square. It becomes my passage to India. So Rutland Square became the name of the brand because it's the first place you would get the sticker on your passport before you can board a flight. Chai Spice Gin became the product because the land I was born is Dibrugarh in Assam. Assam is the tea capital of India, and chai translates to tea. And Gaelic they call cha, and Chinese they call cha, and India they call chai. And cha is a commonly used word globally, which they have made it a little posher by calling it tea, because English like the tea. And that the tea was a discovery made by the world when England went on their adventure. And the world now sees chai as tea, or in Gaelic we call it cha. But coming back to the Rutland Square gin became the first product in the platform because I had to do something. I understood gin, I consumed gin. I understood whiskey, but couldn't afford to do whiskey. So gin became my first product that I created to start my journey.
Mm. And then during that time, did you ever have kind of moments of like going, because you had the clarity, during this moment going, you kind of went, why am I doing this? Or you just like, when it got really tough, or did you just kind of push on, never really kind of felt that because you had that mission?
Every day till date, I feel, why am I doing this? To set the tone, it's one of the most hardest industry you can venture in. Alcohol is a lifestyle brand. Everybody don't consume alcohol like they would consume milk or water or anything else. It's something they indulge. So it's not a commodity that you would consume on a daily basis. So your market share automatically comes and shrinks to certain number of people who consume, and they consume a certain period of time, like weekend, weekdays, or traveling, or however they be. Second thing, it's a marketplace predominantly dominated by giants like the Diageos, the Pernod Ricards, and hundreds of years old companies, and they are grouped with so much liquidity, which is cash in bank, that they can do whatever they want. When somebody like myself, who's nobody in the market, comes to market and tries to put the product on the shelf which sits next to a giant, suddenly my prospect of surviving goes down to zero, because the giant can really invest the capital to wipe out every single player in the market. So I am walking in really, how to put it nicely,
Just say it the way you want to say it.
we are walking in some really risky waters. The prospect of failure is 10 times compared to selling rice or selling pasta or opening up a restaurant or doing things. So it's risk at a very different level. Comes with own challenges, market barriers, it's control goods, there's duty, there's HMRC, scrutiny, licensing. It's everything that says don't do. I ventured into something, ignorance is bliss. I thought I'll do it. And then because I had this promise I made myself during my grandmother's funeral that I need to do something that has meaning. And because my great grandfather started this journey and it gave me meaning. So I started something that has meaning. And this was giving me a sense of meaning. So I jumped into the deep waters without realizing that how much impact it will create financially, emotionally. It traumatized me.
Really?
It traumatizes you. I
In what
say
way?
this out loud to everyone listening and people who are in this industry with me. This is the industry that traumatizes you. You're against your wall every single day. Before even I start selling my product, we sell amount of money we sell just to position our product into the marketplace. Distribution is tough. You almost need to sell yourself 10 times over before you get a shelf space. It's really, really hard.
Mm.
And I'm not saying this to put people off who want to venture into this industry in the future. I'm saying this with all honesty. You must do what you must do. You must venture into alcohol if you feel like venturing.
Would you do it again if you had the
I
choice?
will, yes. I will, because this is why I use the word complex. I am a little complex.
Mm.
I think I've partnered with pain. Sometimes you go through so much pain in life that pain doesn't impact you.
Yeah.
Emotional pain, physical pain, monetary pain, all sorts of things. I can literally name 10 different types of pain I've gone through. So yeah, coming back to what you were saying, I don't know any better.
Mm.
I know this now. I know enough to see another day doing what I'm doing. I enjoy this thoroughly. So I would not jump onto something that can make me 10 times the money it would immediately. Then I would rather live the journey. I have to do is pass my time on this planet
Mm.
till I'm here. I'd rather do something that makes me happy.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. And when you're building far along into Rutland Square, and I guess how many mistakes did it kind of get to the point that you got to there, and you kind of, what was the learning from it, and then to that point?
We almost make mistakes every single day.
Mm.
It's not given that we know what we are doing.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're doing, right? We're doing it. We are learning from it. We try not to do the thing that burnt our fingers again.
Mm.
Other than that, we don't know what we are doing. We are trying, we are doing things on a daily basis. This was early days. 2022, I took Rutland Square Gin to market and I failed because I had no idea about distribution, how much capital it would need for me to just bring my product to market. And I failed. And then I took product back into market in 2023. And halfway through 2023, I was already exhausted. I was one-man bandwagon. I had no team. I had literally trying to sell one bottle at a time in every single shop in Edinburgh and Glasgow. I was going to every single event, every single gin to my tonic event, whatever would give me the opportunity to sell a bottle to somebody and get some money out to survive. And that's where I started from. And then 2020, I think tail end of, beginning of 2023, I had a heart attack because I was going through so much pain, so much suffering. My family was struggling and I was struggling. My partner was struggling because it's emotional struggle, it's physical struggle, it's financial struggle. But I didn't give up. I said I kept on buying time. I said, listen, give me 6 months. And then 6 months would pass and say, give me another 6 months. And so far, so much that when they started seeing some growth in the company and they could see, okay, things are happening. Okay, we might not be liquid. We might not be making the multiple that we have invested, but things are happening. It's not stationary. It's moving somewhere. It's going somewhere. That gives people hope.
Mm.
And yeah, so answer to your question is heart attack happened for two key reasons. One was the COVID injection that created a blood clot in my body that would pass through my arteries and made it difficult for me to my heart to beat, and the stress that really helped escalate the situation. I was in so much stress that literally every single hair on my head now is gray. While people say you look like Silver Fox in a good way to motivate me, I don't think it looks great. I'm 38-year-old man. I'm still in my 30s, late 30s, but still 30s. I've not hit. I consider anything or anybody old beyond the point of 70. That's when you're living the last leg of your life. If you're lucky, you get to see more. But 70 is where I see, okay, now things need to slow down a little because you're at that stage where your knees impact, which is so for me as well, but it escalates. So it goes up a little. That caused the heart attack. Heart attack started on Friday. I thought it's It's indigestion. I probably ate something or overate, and that is creating a heartburn. I had an event. I was selling gin with my pregnant wife at this event in Aberdeen. We were setting up 8 a.m. in the morning. Sale starts from 10. It goes all the way till 11 p.m., 10 p.m. at night. And then we wrap up and then we call it a day. And the event was until Saturday. And then Sunday we were driving back. And I had this consistent pain in the right bang in the middle of my chest. No signs of heart attack. It would be no burnt toast, no sore arm, nothing like that. But I started to sweat a little on Sunday. And I usually don't let my partner drive, and I asked her to take the wheels, and that was a bit odd for her to see me asking her take over the car, the wheels to drive. And she said, just go see the doctors. I said NHS is free, it's not going to cost you anything, just go and see. I said, I have to sit there for 6 hours, I just can't bear it. She said, just go, tell them you're having chest pains, they will escalate it. I went there. They still saw me after 3 hours, but hey ho, better than 6 hours. And they did an ECG, came back normal. So they gave me Gaviscon, and they said, you're going to do an enzyme test, which is a standard procedure now. They draw some blood, and then the lady came running. She said, you're having a heart attack. We need to stabilize you now. They literally stripped me in that second, and they started injecting blood thinners and everything they could in my stomach, and they tried to control the situation. And next morning, doctor shows up 9 a.m. in the morning for a regular checkup and says, Mr. Sharma, if you would have not come last night, you would not have seen Monday morning. That was scary.
Yeah. Wow. It's good that you listen to your wife then.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, good ecosystem around, and people who care and they somehow push you to do things. I think it's all...
So did the doctor say that it was the COVID jab that gave you the blood
everything.
clog?
It's not one thing. COVID jab, as a young individual, I would have survived that. Yes, that escalated the problem. Imagine I'm already going through stress and pushing my body to limits. I'm an obese man at this point. I've already gone from 85 kilos to 130 kilos. And I am pushing my body in weight, and I'm eating everything and anything I see out of comfort to seek comfort. I'm drinking ridiculous amount of coffee, not sleeping anything beyond 3 to 4 hours. I'm really pushing my limits as an individual. And then that has every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And my body had a reaction, which was when you push yourself and you have a COVID jab and everything adds up and it's 2 + 2, 4. And at that moment, that nearly killed me.
So what do you do afterwards to kind of get your systems in place, I guess, to kind of stop that, from repeating?
So I'm on a healthy journey. I'm trying to eat 1 meal a day. I am failing most days and then picking myself back up and doing it again. I have lost almost 25 kilos. I am now 120 kilos, looking to bring this down to 85 by summer next year. I try to walk. I do my steps every single day. I try to as much as possible. I will be looking to add an activity next year. Q1, I'm looking to play paddle. It's a game which has been on my mind for a little while. It's not as intense as tennis, and it's a little easier to play, but it will give me the exercise. And I love swimming. I would like to go back to swimming again. I would like to take things easy, focus on things I want to do, how I want to do, also build a sustainable business with a sustainable body.
So are you at the point that, you don't really need to be in the business? Or
yes, business is autopilot now. I am not doing just one business. I'm building 3 different businesses now.
All right, you literally said you had to take account. Now you're doing 3.
Yes.
Are you chasing shiny objects now?
No, not at all. I think Bob the Builder comes back in, and Rutland Square is at a scale-up stage. I have a great team. We are at 25 people strong between 2 offices. We have an India office. We haven't set up a physical office in India. We are very much working on a virtual office, but everybody's working from home. We have 25 FTE in total in India, which includes people on floor selling the products from airports. We have a good 7, 8 people team in Edinburgh, core team, including the sales operations. Selena Lynn, my partner in client crime, she's my right-hand woman. She works as an operations director in the business, and she's kind of leading the show on the Rutland Square Spirit's end.
Mm.
I'm now looking to create something. Let's use the word foundation.
Okay.
So as a growing business, what do we need? Cash, not just cash that the business generate, but far larger cash to take business to a certain annual recurring revenue phase. Having one business is not enough. For example, if I are Nando's, one Nando's is not enough to build 100 Nando's.
Mm.
You need 10 Nando's to build another 10. And then you need another 20 to build another 40. It's almost
It's like a franchise arrangement you're looking at?
yeah, but we are not doing franchise. What we are trying to do is whiskey, as I said at the beginning of the discussion, has always been the dream. So I'm in the process of trying to build a hydrogen-powered whiskey distillery with a 200-bedroom hotel in Midlothian. That's something I'm really working
That sounds
with.
cool.
Trying. Sustainability is key for us. The future of spirits, expanding the portfolio. I'm looking to add whiskey into the Rutland Square portfolio because that's how Rutland Square became Rutland Square.
Mm.
So I'm trying and testing whiskeys to create notes of tea through science, and working with some of the greatest minds in whiskey to create something very different. And we are experimenting with whiskey at a very different level to create something which is very unique. You cannot mix anything in whiskey to mimic taste. It almost has to be through flavors, through casks, through the fermentation process, through your yeast. So it's a process.
Mm.
So creating whiskey that serves a purpose and also fits in the whole ecosystem that we are creating. So it has to be something that, again, ticks all those boxes and closes our circle.
Can you say more about the hotel? That sounds really cool, the hydrogen power. It really does.
Yes. So again, when I went back to drawing board, I was like, why do I want to do this? I always have these three things in front of me. Why am I doing this? What am I doing? And who am I doing it for? Right? These are the three core principles of any businesses I build or I'm trying to build. So when I started looking into going into the world of whiskey, when I had some resource and now Rutland Square can fund my adventures, I decided whiskey is a no-brainer. It is why I even have the portfolio of gin and rum to begin with. I did rum. I don't understand rum. I don't drink rum. I did rum to understand the world of rum. I did rum because I wanted to do a dark rum is the closest I can get to whiskey in terms of color. And I'm trying to do more and more rum in sherry casks so that I can use and experiment with the casks that the whiskeys are matured in. So that became a benchmark. And so we added a rum to test our waters in the market to see how people react to our rum, because they have really given us the support on our gin. And one gin is not enough to build a business. We need to have a portfolio approach. So we did gin, then we did rum. We just did rum last year, Q4. And now whiskey is the road we have been slowly creating, and now it's taking shape. So again, it has to be within the tea ecosystem of ours. We have a whole universe of tea, and we want to be within that universe of our, we understand tea, and it creates that bridge between the East and West. So we had the chai spice gin, we have the chai spiced rum, and now we are playing with whiskey to mimic certain teas through the maturation process, through the fermentation process, so that we can create something unique that fills that gap of ours that we are trying to fill. Coming back to your question about hydrogen-powered whiskey and hotel. So the challenge with whiskey is, as per the Scotch Whisky Association and the laws around whiskey, you cannot call anything Scotch until it's made in Scotland, matured in Scotland for 3 years and 1 day.
So is any of your stuff Scotch then?
I know I will be.
Yeah.
This is why the hotel comes in.
Okay.
Because anyone to invest in the whiskey market will not see the light of money for at least 3 years and 1 day. then 3 years and 1 day is not mature enough whiskey to be sold at a multiple to generate that return on investment.
Makes sense.
It has to be 5 years and above, 10 years and 12 years and so on and so on. Now imagine you set up shop, but you are not going to get your first customer for 3 years and 1 day. So the hotel piece came in place. Where am I? Again, who, what, why? Who am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? What am I doing? So if I create a hydrogen powered whiskey distillery, which will take millions to build, after investing, let's say 50 million into setting up this whiskey distillery and the whole infrastructure to be the first in the world to have a hydrogen powered whiskey distillery and the whole infrastructure in place. Now we have done the capex and now we don't see the light of money for 3 years and 1 day. Let's say 5 years. There's no return on investments happening immediately. Yes, there are other programs, but still the delta doesn't happen. So we have this piece of land. Yeah. So we have this piece of land and I thought, I don't know how to run hotels. I'm not a hotelier. How about I go out in the market and speak to big hotels and say, hey, I will invest my capital and my investors' capital into building a beautiful hotel. Why don't you come and run it for me? So that you bring your name, your brand, your infrastructure into my infrastructure, and we do a management deal where I own the asset or my company owns the asset on the balance sheet and you operate that asset and you generate a revenue from that asset and you give us our cut, which is rental for our... That was a foundation for creating a hotel. Because now, while the whiskey matures, we need money to pay the salaries, we need money to do whatever we need to do. And a hotel makes absolute sense. People who come to Scotland, there are almost 3 million people. They are visiting Edinburgh every year between the summer period for Fringe and for the holidays. There are great hotels in Edinburgh. There is a hotel narrative which is still missing, which is a luxury hotel operated by an Indian operator in Scotland. We don't have any of the Oberois. We don't have any of the Tajes. We don't have any of the great Indian hotels, which are run and operated as palace hotels, beautiful hotels, which are globally recognized. So I thought, okay, I went up to a few hotel companies and one of the biggest hotel companies agreed to partner and they gave us the letter of intent. I cannot name names at this stage because we are early stage and we are in contractually at that stage where until something is foundationally built, they're a listed company. They don't want to be named in certain formats so that can, impact their share prices. But yes, so we are now aggressively working towards getting the planning over the line, which fits in the ecosystem very nicely. Hopefully by Q4 next year, we'll hit the ground running. We will start the construction of the hotel and the distillery together. Hotel will be the first one to complete because we want to generate that ROI from day one, which is return on investment. And then the distillery will take shape and it will almost become an ecosystem within Midlothian, which will not only generate jobs for the area, it will also create an impact in the area of having a project of that scale that draws tourism from the brother Edinburgh city centre into this part of the town, which is very exciting, but people just don't know. A lot of people don't ski, so they don't come to Hill End because they don't know there's far more things to see in this part of Edinburgh or Midlothian. There's a lovely miners museum, there's a locomotive museum, there's so much to see in this area, but just people don't know. And I'm trying my best to build an ecosystem around because that's where I live. This is home for me. If I can build something for my children in the future to be engaged and interested to stay in this area, as is all I'm trying to do, coming back to the impact I want to create.
No, that makes perfect sense. And when you look back at your career, your businesses, was there like a mentor or a key support, someone that just was there for the whole thing that kind of kept you going through this whole period? And if you didn't have them, or, there's something.
No, I definitely had support from everyone. Knowingly or unknowingly, people give you support. Your support comes from your family. They might be not direct support. In, let's say, when I was starting out, I was financially supported by my partner and that support, right? Because I was looking to do what I'm doing and that created that burden on the family. And so she had to pull herself up and do what she's doing and look after the family while I was building. That was support I had. Then support from the first investors pool that became my investor who believed in me as an individual. Imagine you are putting in your hard-earned capital into somebody who has never built businesses. Excuse me. And now you are writing checks because you believe in the person, not the business. And then that draws more people into believing in. It's almost like you are a developer and you develop houses and nobody pays attention to you unless you have built so many houses that now people know you as Barretts. So everybody has a day one and then they have the in between and then, the journey that, and then investors become your support. Mentors, I think everybody is in a mentor because they're teaching you something. Investors are teaching you to take care of capital, to make sure that money doesn't disappear. So they're teaching you how to manage money. Accountants, they become your mentor and they teach you about things you would not know. As an entrepreneur, I would not know, what compliances I have to follow. Nobody teaches you these things as an entrepreneur. You learn on the job. My CFO now, he teaches me about spreadsheets and, how do we project growth. For me, projections have been picking up finger up in the air and saying, oh, I have 3 contracts today, I'll do 10. But then he reins me back and says, Nish, this is the foundation we use. He teaches me about taking a balanced approach to things. As an entrepreneur, I'm always optimistic. I can do this because when I started, I had no customers. Today, I have some of the biggest buyers in the world. Some of the names, if I take Adani Group, GMR Group, Avolta. Avolta has 5,700 duty-free shops across the globe in 70 countries. And we are supplier in some of their outlets and hoping to bleed into all the shops they have. And that's a process. But we are in it. We are through the gates. We are on their system. They know who we are. If our product sells, they will be keen on giving us that route to market. So these things never existed. They're in existence now. So the answer to your question is yes. I think everybody who's involved in Rutland Square Spirits, directly or indirectly, is a support system. If I take David, he's a different kind of support, but he's a support into the system. Like you coming here and teaching me about this podcast we are doing. I don't do podcasts. This is my first long, structured podcast. It's been just talking. I'm learning something new today. So yeah, everybody adds value.
And so when you look back, continuing the reflection of the journey, your more mentors and stuff, do you feel like, did you talk much about your problems or did you kind of just keep it to yourself? Because some entrepreneurs are known just to, it's their problem, I'll deal with it. And then eventually it's like they needed someone to talk to. And then eventually they have that, they create a support network that does that. Or did you always have that?
We would want to talk to. I would love to speak about my problems to you, to him, to her, to everyone. What value can you add? Because you don't know about the industry. You don't know what solution to my problems are. I would be just ranting about something and it would be just flushing it out of my system, but I have to find solutions to my own problems. So I keep my problems to myself. My problems are my problems because I created those problems. Because entrepreneurship was my choice. I should not burden others of my problems because that was not the decision they took. It was my decision. So I think this is almost every single entrepreneur talks about is loneliness in the journey. It's a self-created loneliness. Nobody understands what we are going through because nobody will. It's the consistent struggle as an entrepreneur. Is the burden entrepreneurship brings. Rewards outweighs struggles and everything. Everybody talks about this, but if you look at Elon Musk, he looks miserable. And I keep using Elon Musk as an example is because he sits right at the top on the pyramid. And if you look at him, he's deprived of sleep. He's malnutrition to some certain extent. He's always on the go. People look at his jet that he's flying around in, but he's trying to buy more time, which is most expensive than anything else. Who uses a commercial plane at this stage of my life because I cannot afford to use a private jet, So if I take a commercial flight, I am at the flight's disposal of flying. But as an entrepreneur, he needs to be in Nevada now, and then he needs to be in New York in next hour, and there's a 4-hour journey. He cannot ask Delta to fly a jet for him. So yes, the reward is that you are in a position to buy a jet, what people find exciting. But then people don't see the rationale behind doing it is because he's buying more time that he doesn't have. Because he's running so many companies and he's always on the go. He doesn't have time to sit down and enjoy a nice turkey with his family over Christmas because his mind's going, oh, the payroll is happening on the first. If I'm $1 billion company, I have $1 billion of payroll to pay. So that's the burden of an entrepreneur, and we have to live with it. So no, we don't speak to anyone about our problems.
And do you feel like though that's kind of like kind of help? It leads to some of the mental health problems some people have, and that maybe there should be a way, or some people just to have like that support. You know, maybe because some people talk about say if they had like the investors or someone they trusted it just to talk to that they worked with.
People have. I haven't found one yet. Probably in the lookout to find someone who can sit and understand and help me with the challenges I am going through on a daily basis, running multiple companies, trying to scale and survive and raise and do whatever I need to do to keep the companies afloat, make the payroll every single month and worry about the next payroll. I haven't found, but I think it definitely helps. I think especially touching on the mental health piece, um, mental health is due to loneliness. We have become a society of isolated people because we have so much technology around us to keep us busy. You know, I have never heard about mental health issues during the era of my grandmother. It might have existed, but nobody talked about it because nobody had the foundations of understanding what mental health was. But they had that support system around because they never delved deep into this because they never felt that way, the way we feel it now. Mental health hits us harder now because we understand mental health and we don't have the support system like people had back in the day. We are all creatures of TikToks and Instagram, and, the generation which likes to dance when they are sad. And also people are not accessible anymore. It's very hard to find time with people to go out for dinner and lunches. We must find time and we must find people, first of all, to sit down and who can understand you. And I think we are all so consumed within our own little universes that we don't care about what's happening in anybody else's life. That's the truth of it. I know it's a harsh thing I'm saying. People want to sugarcoat it, but that's the reality of things. Everybody's living in their own little universe and they have challenges of their own and nobody cares about how you feel. You might be lucky to find someone who might listen to you, but I don't think that exists at this stage, at least in my life.
Do you feel like, I guess you could say it's like, mental health is kind of more of do you feel like is a big issue and that we should kind of talk more about it from your experience? Or do you feel like, it's not really something?
No, absolutely. It is. See, I cannot feel what somebody who is going through the problem is feeling. Let me use this as an example just to explain better.
Yeah.
If somebody is terminally ill or is surviving cancer, the pain of chemotherapy is personal because he knows what he's going through. I can console, I can accompany, and I can try to take their pain away through speaking to them, talking about whatever makes them feel better. But the pain is personal.
Yeah.
So nobody, I feel, has the power to take that burden or pain away. We can make it better. And I think as a intelligent race, we should think about ways to supporting people rather than being so self-consumed in what we do. And I'm the victim of same. I am so much self-consumed in own little universe that I'm building. I sometimes overlook, knowingly I overlook things that might be happening within the ecosystem I live in, because that's the road I am paving, and that's where I walk. but mental health is serious.
Mm.
I have gone through depression when I was figuring out what I want to be, who I want to be, how I want to be. I must have had help to survive through it, or I have found a coping mechanism that helped me snap out of it and made me, maybe work is my coping mechanism.
Mm.
I work so much that I almost feel happy now working. And I used to complain to my uncle who used to love going to his warehouse. And I used to say, you don't spend time with the family. You should be spending time with the family because you are going to be so busy that we don't gonna remember you. And now I'm in his own shoes. I'm literally walking in his shoes. I feel I'm so at peace at work because I'm so consumed within my own bubble and ecosystem. I almost feel anxious when I'm sitting at home over Christmas.
Mm.
For past 3 days, I have watched TV and that have made me more anxious than anything else.
Really?
It has. I think we have become creatures of,
Routine.
not knowing what to do in situations because we don't spend that much time with each other anymore.
Yeah.
But answer to your question is we must. Mental health is serious. We must talk about it. Everything to themselves, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
If working works for me, I do not recommend that to you. Maybe grabbing a pint with your mates would work for you.
Mm.
Do that, whatever suits you.
Yeah. And do you feel like, it's like, if there was like more, I guess you could say, this is more a thing entrepreneurs need to work out and maybe they need to create their own network? Or do you think like government kind of needs to do something to kind of help with the things because of the policies they do can also impact, which adds to the stress because they have to deal with it? So do you think there's a role for that?
I think entrepreneurs should come together, and there are some entrepreneurs that do come together.
Mm.
If I talk about a certain entrepreneur, there's this guy from India called Nikhil Kamath. Nikhil Kamath. Nikhil is a fairly successful individual, runs I think a private equity or a hedge fund, or he recently did a podcast with Elon Musk. I don't have no idea what love I have for Elon Musk, and he keeps picking up on everything I say. But creating that ecosystem with of fellow entrepreneurs, bringing them to their podcast and talking about things, I think that's therapy. What we are doing is therapy, talking about things that I would not usually discuss. It's a form of therapy we have created, which is podcasts. Because now unknowingly you have become that a therapist who is asking me questions that I would usually not ask to myself on a daily basis. So yeah, entrepreneurs are doing something like this in certain parts of the world. I haven't found any peer in the UK, especially in Scotland, that does anything like that to that scale. I haven't found a entrepreneur within the ecosystem who would come and say, let's catch up together and let's talk about things. But we should have. I don't think government can do anything. They are in shambles just now. They just don't know themselves what they are doing. So I cannot expect anything from the government at this stage. If they can fix their mess and make this great country greater or great again, even better again, would be my only expectations from them at this stage.
What would you say would be your oh shit moment?
Many. I had so many oh shit moments. A few years ago, not so long ago, 2024, I almost ran out of money.
Really?
I went under. Like I almost went under. I had to make payroll, and I think I had £20 in my pocket, and I had to make a 20 grand payment for stock and everything that I was doing. And so this is Wednesday night, and I had to make a payment on Monday or Tuesday next week. And sitting here, oh shit, what I'm gonna do? There's only £20, probably less than £100 in my bank. I have to make a 20 grand payment. I don't know what to do. And stealth mode. I just went pitching everywhere. I was pitching in Sainsbury's with random people. And then, one of the investors who have been hanging around thinking about this for a little while, I touched base and I said, listen, now is the time to invest. The valuation is going to go up. It's up to you. You want to come, just give me a decision. Just don't hang around. Just don't keep thinking. Either you're in or you're out. You need to make a decision now. And almost I feel people had made up their mind the minute they meet you for a few meetings. It's just they want to mitigate their risk and they keep on hanging around just to see
To watch you.
to watch. And I think that's the worst thing ever. You are either in or you're out. You're
Mm.
supporting the entrepreneur, or you just say, not for me. And
Mm.
look at other opportunities. There's plenty of opportunities out there. And in that moment, a similar thing happened. This investor who'd been hanging around, I said, listen, I'm only going to do this deal with you if you transfer the money in next 5 hours, or there's no deal with us.
Mm.
Why he transfer the money within 1 hour? So I started a discussion on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I did the last meeting with him when he physically met me. And I said, I need the money now or we are not doing this. So it was a small investment I raised. I raised around 50 grand.
Mm.
But it gave me the 20 grand I needed for the payment on Monday.
Was that an equity deal or non?
Equity deal. Yes. And
hopefully it's not like one of those equity deals you're going to regret.
No, it was a good one. So this is where I only reach out to people I want to work with.
Mm.
So, I think the worst position to be in as an entrepreneur is out of desperation, you bring somebody on board and then you regret every single day why they are there. In our case, I think it was early days and the cash flow management was something I hadn't aced. I would not keep an oversight of how quickly the money can run out. And I was only raising smaller tickets because I was focusing on building a valuation as if an exit was going to happen anytime soon. I was just silly. And that did help me build a valuation, but I raised smaller chunks of tickets. But now we are raising 200 million plus. Our minimum ticket size is $1 million plus. So things have changed. We are looking to create an asset under management AUM of around 300 million in next 5 years. So it's the learning from the failure. So oh shit moment was I almost had to fold my company if I didn't get that 50,000 check.
What was the biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson, build teams. So why did I fail in my early startup days when I had enough capital to build momentum? What fixes problems in business? Sales. What can bring sales? By taking your product out to as many people as possible. And if I'm seeing 100 people a day, 10 might buy, and those are 10 sales. That's a simple formula. The more people buy, and people are looking to buy because that's what they're earning for. They all want to be in this vicious cycle of consuming and doing things they want to do. Otherwise, money becomes worthless.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of money if you're not spending? But yes, answering to this question to you would be as if I would have found an individual to come on board and say, dude, you look after sales and let me look after other sides of the business. I was doing everything myself. So that was my biggest failure and my biggest learning. To bring people on board quicker, faster, even if you've got the wrong people on the payroll with you, you can learn from them in turn. Turn around. Because now the margin of taking risk is higher, but also turning those risks around is faster as well. Now, when you're a bit of a machinery and you have 25 people, you have to go through a process. If you don't like somebody, it has to go through the HR process and this process and that process. Earlier, it's just you and him. It's like, dude, sales are not happening. Let's part away. As simple as that.
Yeah.
So build teams from day one. Don't be the master of all. You'll end up jack of none.
So when you build the teams, did you kind of keep making that mistake before you learned it
No, I did.
Or were there any mistakes you kept repeating accidentally because of you didn't realize it was a flaw in your system?
Only mistakes I think every single mistake we did in our journey, we learned from it and we pivoted and we never made that mistake again. For example, we moved into a smaller warehouse thinking we couldn't afford the bigger one, or let's save money on the bigger one. Let's get the smaller one. And the day we took the keys and we signed a 10-year lease, we ran out of space in that warehouse. So that was a big mistake we did. Now we are tied into a 10-year lease with a 5-year break, and we are finding a tenant to take over our lease. That's a mistake we made and we are paying for it. We could have made the mistake of getting the bigger one, paid some extra capital on it, but we would have not been in the structure that we are in. Now we have the space, we have everything that we need, but we also have that old warehouse hanging around. We don't know what to do. Now we are at a point we might have enough to put something there, but they have been 2 months of paying rent for something that we are not using.
Yeah.
A big mistake I've learned from, and I'm never making that mistake again. So things now I'm doing for the future, I'm already thinking about consolidation because that's a learning from that mistake. So now anything I do, consolidation is a big part of what I'm doing. Make sure that everything is under one roof. We don't have to have a storage in X location and manufacturing in X location because logistics cost money.
Yeah.
If we can build an infrastructure in one big ground, it saves you the long-term cost of BD capital.
So do you still plan to exit? Or how has that changed considering you're now going into the impact that you want to do?
I would definitely exit, but not now, at a later stage. I would not exit completely. I would like to take a partial exit, and I would only do an exit to create liquidity to empower other entrepreneurs through capital. What has been the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur? Finding and raising capital.
Okay.
If I can be in the position to fund other businesses in my position where I can back them by understanding their business model, most importantly, the individual, because nobody backs businesses. Businesses are a set of formulas that you can plug and play, and it's not always it's going to work. Look at big industries. I'll take a perfect example. There's an airline company in India called Air India. It was privately owned back in the 70s, and then government forced them to make it a public carrier. And it has always been in debt since it was under the public domain, which means government doesn't have a shortage of cash. They have all the people they can hire globally to build that into a great platform as a global carrier coming out of India, but they failed. After 20 or 30 years of ownership, they finally had to sell it to the owners that initially started the company because they made a mess out of it. Now, they never had shortage of capital. They never had shortage of everything. It's the people. So it always comes down to individuals. So my biggest thing for future is I want to set up a capital firm where I can empower entrepreneurs. We don't have enough entrepreneurs in the world. I would like to educate people to be more entrepreneurial, to build businesses, to fail and not have the challenge of capital stopping them from living their dream. Why are we on this planet?
Yeah.
We are not going anywhere. In our lifetime, I'm not going to Mars, right? We are here. We fight about borders. It's one round planet, or flat if you believe in flat earth. Whatever you believe in, we are going nowhere and we must support each other.
Yeah.
If you have £100 and if you have spare 10, invest that 10 in somebody who can make another 100 and bring your 10 plus your return on investment back.
So just to finish off, when you look back at your career building, do you have anything like an artifact that kind of you have just to kind of remind you of your journey?
So I've started speaking to a few agencies to start journaling and creating coffee table book for the brands. That is our first step into creating that imagery of who we are, what we do, so it can start sitting on people's table. That creates legacy. It's in a printed form, and what makes a brand like LV and LV, it's consistent effort of doing things that puts them in a position to be in places. The more people carry it, the more they will be remembered. And for the longest of period they do it, that's what legacy is all about. It's about when the brand outweighs the founder, Johnny Walker. Dear Johnny's dead for the longest of times, but the Walker brand, Johnny Walker brand stays.
Yeah.
So same with us. We would like to create meaningful products that can transpire into other things, such as the coffee table book, and then at some point I am looking to do a memoir for my family about the journey, about who we are, where we come from. It's about putting those narratives out there in the world that people can read in the formats they like to read, and puts the brand, which is the family, out there at the individual, the clan.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for taking time to talk to me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for coming and living through the noise of things happening in the background. It just tells you it's a working environment.
Exactly.
You're not doing this in a closed room studio with pin drop silence and people not making the noise. I think that what makes it really exciting is capturing those moments of a working business. Even it's 30th and people are almost home chilling for the New Year's to come. We have business as usual.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the time, and I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for watching. This is the Burnout Files.